What's up, North County? I'm your host, Randy Doty, and today we are talking with Bear McGill, and we are talking with Lori Zanelli Smoot about Honor Flight Central Coast, Vino for Vets. We're talking all kinds of stuff. So welcome and thanks for coming on.
And Pour Fest, that Lori's idea came up and came to us, and we were excited about it. And so we're here to talk about our upcoming event on November 2nd. Going to be out the Warbirds Museum, and it's going to be, a bunch of local wines out there, so you can come out and taste. And we're going to have some food. You can have some bites, and we're going to barbecue and have some music, and it's just going to be a great time from 1 to 4.
Very good. So, Bear, tell me what is Honor Flight Central Coast? What is that all about?
So Honor Flight was actually started back in 2005, back in Ohio. A physician assistant was working with some World War II vets when the World War II memorial was finally completed. And he had asked them if they were going to go down to Washington, D.C. to see their memorial. Well, one of his vets says, I can't afford it. And he rounded up, so this physician assistant rounded up 12 pilots and 6 planes, and told this vet that, hey, we're going to take you down to D.C., and it's not going to cost you a thing. And he said the vet just started crying because he'd never thought that he'd be able to go see this memorial. And they took these vets down to D.C. and saw a huge change in these vets after they got them there, because there was a memorial there to honor the men and women that sacrificed their life for our country, and that there's a memorial there that will honor all of our World War II veterans, and that's how Honor Flight got started. And then it started moving across the country. Well, it finally got here to California. Kern County in 2012 started a hub. My son was part of that as a guardian. And then they allowed him to come over here to the Central Coast and round up veterans, and we took them out of San Luis Obispo under the Kern County hub. We did 3 flights. Then we decided, we need our own hub here on the Central Coast. So we got together with a bunch of veterans, and we started our own hub, Honor Flight Central Coast, California. And we've been in existence now for 10 years. We've taken over, I think, 660 veterans on a free trip to Washington, D.C. to see all the memorials. Not only the World War II, but you got the Korean War, you got the Vietnam War guys. And when we started it, it was about getting the veterans the recognition that they really, really deserve, that they never got, the welcome homes. But it's more than that now. It's a healing moment for all these men and women, especially with the Vietnam guys. The healing that you see at the Vietnam Wall is just amazing. And to hear the stories. One story of a Vietnam vet was supposed to go out on patrol one night, and he got pulled off the patrol by another guy saying, hey, this is my unit, I'm going. Well, that guy didn't make it back that night. And this Vietnam vet carried that with him for over 50 years until he got back to the wall. And all he did was stand there, and he just talked to the wall and said, I never knew your name or who you were, but I've always wondered what your life would have been like had you not removed me from that patrol that night. And It was a healing moment.
That's insane. That is, it's such a great organization, which obviously we want to make sure that we get people to know more about this organization and what you guys do for, our vets here on the Central Coast and around, because you guys reach over to, I think the Valley a little bit, and then up north because of the chapters, right?
Yeah, we actually take, we have people from Salinas, Greenfield, what are some of the other small towns? Santa Cruz area, we get them from there. Even though there's a hub up in that area, I won't turn any vet away. I don't care where you live. If you're a veteran, you serve this country, you want to go on this trip, I'm going to take you. Our hub's going to take you. You wrote a check to this country. You were willing to sacrifice your life for people you don't know. And that's something that just really touches my heart. And you want to go, I'm taking you. All you got to do is sign up.
Yeah, well, I can see the emotions. So,
Oh, yeah.
like I said, it kind of gets me too, because like I said, I feel the same way. A lot of the veterans in our area, are underserved what they need and what they have available to them, as well, which we've talked to some veterans on here, that, like you said before, where they say, don't give it to me, give it to somebody else. But these, flights and these services, they're available for their taking. It's there for everybody.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter what you did. If you signed up to serve this country, it doesn't matter what you did. You all deserve to go on this trip, because here's what I hear from a lot of them. Well, I never went to combat, or I never went over into country. Doesn't matter. It takes 20, I think I was told it takes 22 veterans or 22 military people to support one combat veteran. So you all had something to do with it. And if you weren't doing your job, that combat veteran wouldn't have been able to do his job or her job. And so everybody, you deserve to go. And don't tell me that you don't deserve, because you all are heroes of this country.
100%.
Absolutely.
So, Lori, I want to move over to you. So, so you have obviously your late husband Sherman Smoot, which is a big part of our local aviation. So, tell me a little bit about that. Tell me a little bit about Sherman and his, entry into where we're going with Vino for Vets.
Well, after losing Sherm, it was hard to get back on, on board and go forward with my life. It was quite devastating. And I knew that there was a campaign called Vino for Vets, which is in the spring, and it's multiple wineries it's like a passport where you can pay one price and go out to all these different wineries. And there's a lot of great support by our wineries for that, to raise the money for the honor flight. And I just thought, after I was sitting in the tasting room one day at Bella Luna, and I thought, why are people, we can do that, but let's give them a home. Let's give Honor Flight a spot where they can bring people in one day for a fundraiser to raise money, and we will bring the wineries to them. Also the restaurants. So we have wineries pouring their wines, and we also have food. We have bites by some of the caterers in the area, and then we also have a barbecue. And that's all for your $100 ticket.
So that's the event that's coming up.
Yes.
But you, with Bella Luna, which is a small local winery.
Yes.
So you make a perfect partner for this, because you are part of those small wineries on the Central Coast, and just here in the North County, actually.
Yes.
And I know during Memorial Weekend, there's an event still there. Is that still go on, where the wineries give back for their tastings to Honor Flight Central Coast? Is that still going?
We still have the Vino for Vets fundraiser that we'll be doing. And actually, Bella Luna was one of the first wineries that jumped on board with us when we started that. My son was in charge of that. That was his idea. And he went out and talked to Sherman, and Sherman says, oh, absolutely, we'll be part of this. And they were giving back a portion of their sales. And that's kind of how we got started with the Vino for Vets. But then we had COVID, and that kind of shut us down, and we didn't want to go back out to the wineries, because, they were all suffering. And so we didn't do a Vino for Vets for a couple years. What we did do one year was we did gift baskets. And we actually went out to some of the wineries, and we said, hey, we'd like to purchase a bottle of your wine, and we're doing this raffle. And that's how we raised some money. And there were a lot of the wineries that said, no, I don't want your money. I'm just going to donate several bottles of wine so you can use that. And so, and then it's kind of evolved into this passport. Let's not hammer the wineries with giving us money from tasting. Let's sell the passports. People can go out and get free tastings. And so that was a pretty good little event that we had last year, but we want to grow that. But then Lori contacted us about this Pour Fest. And I said, well, that's an awesome idea. Bring the wineries to the Warbirds and let people come out and taste the different wines, have some food, tour the grounds, look at the old plains out there, honor our veterans. And I thought, this is a fantastic idea. So we jumped on board with her, and we just, thank her. And actually, I think we need to probably change the name of that next year from Pour Fest to, Sherman Smoot's Pour Fest, because he loved veterans.
Yes, he did.
And he wants to make sure that these veterans continue going on these trips. We used to fly commercial airlines, and then we jumped into, after COVID, we had a stockpile of money, so we started doing charters to where we take, 90 veterans. Well, we decided we're going to try and do a small commercial flight in September, and that actually ended up failing because of American Airlines. We had it set up for 23 veterans to go, and we had our times, everything was set up. Well, then I get an email from American Airlines saying, oh, by the way, we're changing your itinerary. We're flying out at 12:45 in the afternoon, getting back to Baltimore at 11:40 at night, and then you're flying home Wednesday morning at 6 o'clock. And I'm like, that doesn't work with these 80 and 90-year-old veterans. And we actually had a 99-year-old World War II veteran. Wow. And it was devastating to have to cancel that trip. Luckily, I was able to get the World War II and 2 of our Koreans veterans on with Honor Flight Kern County. So they still got to go. The other veterans, we're moving them to our charter flight that we're doing May 12th through the 14th. And doing a charter, it cost us $135,000 just for the veterans. That's what it cost us.
Wow.
And all the Guardians, they pay their own way. So if you add $135 or $135,000 for the veterans and $135,000 for the Guardians, you're at $270,000 per trip. And that's a chunk of money.
That is a chunk of money.
And so we have that right now. But that's another reason we were thankful that Lori came to us wanting to do this event to help us continue raising those funds. And we're hoping that we can continue doing these charter flights. We'd love to do 2 a year. I mean, but that's over $500,000.
So, and that's what Lori. So, Lori, before I go into that, but Lori, you made a comment earlier that SHRM flew some veterans,
Yes.
so locally here.
Yes.
So tell me about that, and tell me how that came about.
Well, actually, SHRM was contacted by someone with Honor Flight and one of the board members, and they said, ask Sherman. It was at the end of COVID, and they said, we've got veterans that will not be around in the next year or so, and they won't be able to make the Honor Flight. And would you be able to take them up? Well, that was a very casual request, and it turned into a very big event. We had 19 veterans on Betsy, which is the plane that SHRM flew to Normandy for the 75th anniversary of Normandy and D-Day. He and our crew from Paso, Robles, Estrella Warbirds Museum, the Goonie Birds, there were a crew of 5, but they brought on different crew and sent other crew back and forth. It was a 2-month venture that Sherman did with Betsy and his crew, going to Normandy, also going and reenacting the Berlin airlift. Sherman actually had the candy bomber, original candy bomber, on Betsy, and he signed he autographed the inside interior of Betsy. He passed probably, I believe, a year later, because he was a World War II veteran. He was the one that started dropping food into Berlin. I can't remember, his last name was Halverson. But Sherman attracted people like this because he was very curious about history, about flying. He was born, went home to the Estrella Air Base. Sherman's first home when he left the hospital when he was born in San Luis Obispo at Mountain View, I think it was. So he grew up in aviation, and most of his life was spent out at Paso Robles Airport. And just for him to, want to stay involved with aviation in this community and move forward. Sherman was very honored to be able to take the veterans that day. It was August of 2022. And he had 19 veterans on the plane with his crew. And they took off and they flew out to the coast, which they normally do. We have a lot of veterans that are living in Morro Bay and that area, Cayucas and Cambria. They all go to their piers. They go stand out on the pier and they watch Betsy fly over. So they were all there on that September flight that Sherm made with all of the older veterans. And when Sherm came back, the welcome home folks were there, and the veterans didn't know they were there. And when each veteran stepped off of Betsy, they said, "Welcome home," which is something a lot of those veterans did not get when they came back to our country after serving our country. And that was, I think, life-changing for quite a few of those veterans on that flight, that last flight that Sherman had with Betsy and the veterans.
Gosh, to hear those stories just kind of, wrenches your heart a little bit, because, you see so many of the veterans in our area when they wear their hats, and they wear them with pride, their conflict that they were in, whatever it may be. But, to hear and be able to be that source for these men and women, to take that flight in such an iconic plane.
Yes.
That's probably, not to take away from going, back to the wall and stuff like that, but if nobody really knows what Betsy is, this is an old 1940, what's the?
43.
1943 bomber airplane
Yes.
that doesn't have all the amenities of today's airplanes and comforts.
There is no comfort about Betsy.
But just that, that iconic airplane, and being in it, I'm sure it's loud. Have you been in it?
Oh, yes. I just recently went to Reno. They did the Reno Air Show, and Sherman raced up at Reno for 32 years at the Reno Air Races, and 2023 was their very last race. And then this year, what they did was an air show, and they called me and said, "We need Sherman's presence here. He was such a big part of the Reno Air Races and keeping all the pilots qualified to be in the race." And so we did, Betsy's crew, and I flew up to Reno, landed on last Thursday. We were there for the air show. I got to see most of my September family with their airplanes there. And we all basically flew out and said, "Adios, Reno," Stead Airport. And of course, now they're saying that Roswell, New Mexico is the next for 2025. So.
And Sherman was that where his accident was at? Was that the Reno show?
No, he was actually doing the first actual test flight, and he has John Moore and Marcia Moore, owners of the first plane Sherman raced was called Bad Company. And it was a T6, and the tail number was 86 because Sherman's crew, all of the crew that worked on that plane, always got 86 out of any place they went. So anyway, it's just a little fun thing, trivia. But so anyway.
We won't even ask why.
Right, no, yeah, I'd have to, anyway. So then they moved into when Sherman won the gold back in 98 or 96, they then decided, they wanted to move up into the unlimited class, which is the Mustangs, the Corsairs, the Sea Furies, etc. We're talking now 480, 500 miles an hour around a course 9 miles long, 50 feet off the ground sideways. Just, pulling, it's about 6 Gs around every pylon. Yes.
It sounds dangerous no matter what. Just you're racing airplanes around a course.
Yes. And Sherman, most times, as long as he hold a piston in checkmate in 98. And
now, what does that mean? Pulled a piston?
He hold a piston, which means that one of the pistons went right through the motor wall, and basically he was on fire. And
in the air?
In the air.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. He was coming around the front, right in front of all of the 200,000 people watching the race, and he said he started to pull up, and we're all like, oh, now what, another May Day? So he pulls up, and for some reason he said he was just going to pull the fire extinguisher, which he did, and thank God he did, because he was on fire. We could see that, he could not. He could not really see outside of checkmate because he sat so low because it was such a fast racer. And so anyway, he pulled up, and the pilot, John Hinton and Tiger DeStefani, were in a plane, and they were observing him. And they said, Sherman, you better get down. So he went down, got on the emergency runway, and he was going 187 knots when he went to land, which is way too fast. And all he could do was just try to stop. And he got over to what we call Swan Lake. It's a pond at the end of the emergency airstrip. And when he got there, John Hinton said, Sherm, you better ground loop it. You're running out of real estate. So Sherman did. And poor old checkmate was sitting there. The only thing that happened was the propeller was damaged, got bent, and he lost both of his landing gears. So
wow.
Other than that, yeah, he jumped out and apologized to John Moore for breaking his toy.
So Lori, so you were around aviation as long as he was. Really.
No. So I met Sherman in 1994, and he was working for Air Micronesia, which was a continental based out of Guam. And so we were a blind date. We were set up by my best friend, and who I've been best friends with and still are best friends with since 9th grade. And she called one day and told me that she was going to have this guy call me. Well, I was working at Sierra Vista at that time and doing management, and I was tired. I said, no, Carol, come on, stop. Anyway, it turns out he calls, and we talked for almost an hour and a half, and it seemed like 10 minutes. And that's how Sherman and I met. And that was in 94. Well, for the next 9 years, I dated him off and on. I actually moved away and left the area and went to San Diego and worked at a hospital down at Scripps in San Diego for 3 years, trying to not be in his life because I knew what he did. I knew his personality. And I wasn't quite sure that was my destiny. But we got married in 2000, and we were married for 22 years. So,
wow, what a great story.
And so I was there with him. I would never allow him to go and race without me there. I was always with the pit crew up on top of the race trailer, listening to him converse with his crew chief. And that was a great thing. And I just always wanted to be there in case something happened while he was racing. I have every confidence in his abilities, and every other pilot that raced out there was very confident in his abilities. He had over 40,000 miles. He stopped logging his air flight book at 40,000 miles. He just didn't care anymore. So, yep.
Yeah, it's, and I mean, he was obviously still a legacy
Yes.
here, very involved in, the Estrella Warbirds. I mean, he also flew, I'm not sure which plane, but when they do the memorial flights, right?
Yes.
He had one of the Navy, Army.
Yes.
One of the single.
Yes.
I mean, did he wrench on his own planes, or did he have a mechanic?
Absolutely.
He did.
Oh gosh, yes. He worked on Betsy. I mean, that was the thing about Sherman. He was so focused on aviation. When Sherman was on, I always laughed and said, when Sherman is 18 inches off the ground, he is a very different person than when he is terra firma and has both feet firmly on the ground. Because once he starts getting up in the air, he is locked on. But what he spent most of his time doing was, you could always tell what planes he was going to be flying because he had the manuals right next to him. He would remember everything. He would go over it over and over and over again because he wanted to be that. It was second nature to him to do that. So, Two things that Sherman always said to his crew and to people he taught to fly is, did you read the manual? That was one. The other thing is when they got in the plane, he said, just fly the plane. Those were the two things he demanded.
So he never got you into flying?
Well, yes. We bought a cup. We I have a grandchild. We had a grandchild, Rocco Zanoli. He was born back in 2018. And we had the opportunity to get involved with a cub that's out at the museum. It was actually Scott Stelsley, who's the crew director for Betsy Biscuit Bomber, the Goonie Birds. His son was raised in Betsy. I think he was 3 the first time he sat in the cockpit with Sherman and Scott flying down to Chino, going to their Planes of Fame air show. And so that was Jake. Jake is now, I believe, 24. So Jake flew in Betsy, and so Scott wanted Jake to get his pilot's license. So he found this beautiful little Cub J3. Some people say it's a J5 because it's a 3-seater, and you can train from the back seat. Somebody can clarify that for me. But so anyway, Scott bought the plane, and then Jake left and went to Montana to go to school up at Montana State. And so Scott said, I need someone to buy into the Cub because Jake's leaving and nobody else is flying it. So Sherman said, we're buying the Cub. I'm going to teach you how to fly. So I did have some lessons with him. I have always been his backseater, by the way, in the T-28, the T-34.
So you're riding that little cubby behind him?
Yes. So, yeah. So Rocco, it was so funny because one time we were up on the plane and Sherman's in the front seat and Rocco and I are in the back seat. And Rocco stood up and he pulled the gear and he turned the plane off. And Sherm just started chuckling. And all of a sudden the plane went quiet. And Rocco looks around, he goes, okay, push it forward. And he did, and we started flying again. That was back, couple years. That was in 2022. I think it was around July.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, Sherman was so thrilled to be able to teach, to get me involved. Like I said, I'm a backseater. I've been in the right seat in Betsy, flying back from Wyoming, going up to to Cody, Wyoming for their gun show museum gala, and I've also sat in the back seat in the T-28 with Sherman. We would fly to Vegas, we'd fly many different places, and we'd go down to the different air shows. Randy Wilbur, who's a local, he's also a member at the Estrella Warbirds Museum and one of the Goonie Bird owners. He and I are now partners on the T-28.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a great story to hear these because, like I said, I mean, it walks down memory lane, you know, which is awesome. Yeah. We get a little history, you know, behind you and Sherm and, you know, Estrella Warbirds and, you know, with the Honor Flight Central Coast. And it's just such a great tie-in to what you guys are doing here. And then with the wine, of course, you know, I mean, it just makes sense.
Well, and back to the Goonie Bird, Lori has decided that every year we're going to have a Sherman Smoot Memorial Flight with the Goonie Bird for veterans that it's not available to go on the flight or they, you know, health reasons. And so that's another thing for all you veterans out there or even your listeners. If you know a veteran that has an issue that can't fly back to DC for 3 days to see the memorials, still we want you to sign up. Yes. And in the notes section, you can put in there that you would just like to be on the Sherman Smoot Memorial Flight. And that way we know who you are. And when we come around to do that flight, we know who to contact. Because we want to still honor you, whether you can go back to DC or not. And this is a flight that we'll be doing every year.
And when is that event, Bear?
That is D-Day.
Okay.
So, you know, in my interest of educating, you know, the younger generations, because I don't know where they get education on you know, our past wars. Every June 6th, which Sherman flew Betsy over Normandy, June 6th, 2019, we're going to have Sherman's Legacy flight every D-Day. Last year it was a Thursday. This year, hopefully, unless it's leap year, it will be on Friday and then a Saturday. So every June 6th, on D-Day, Betsy's Biscuit Bomber will fly Sherman's Legacy flight with local veterans that, number one, are older and cannot make the trip to DC for their tour of honor. And that is my promise to the community, is that Sherman will always be honoring the veterans that way.
Which is what he loved.
He loved our veterans. He
was-
loved our country. He loved our flag and loved our veterans.
It's such a great thing to know, to understand, you know, here locally too, because like you said, you know, we have tons of veterans,
Yeah.
and you know, for the ones that can't make it back, and it's not like the honor flight to where they needed a guardian or anything like that, correct?
Right,
They can
yes.
just go on
They're-
by
yes.
themselves.
So it's
Yep.
15 veterans. We have a medic on board. We have others that are able to actually work with the veterans because, you know, Betsy is so gentle. I mean, it's like riding in a Volkswagen. She's so sturdy. And once you get up in the air, you know, you're just so excited and you want to look out the windows. And, you know, some of the guys were leaning over, but, you know, we just need someone sitting around and who's able, if they want to get up. Because once you get up at altitude, they turn the light off and you can stand up and you can look around and walk around the plane. And, you know, so, it's not like a comfy 747, but Betsy is just a very, very comfortable plane.
So Lori, so do you fundraise for that? Is that what something like this is for, or is there a different avenue for that?
Well, the Goonie Birds is the flying wing that is at the Estrella Warbirds Museum.
Okay.
And they will go out and do any flyover. We have Betsy, the C-47, which is actually now, since 2009, considered a DC-3. She's no longer in military action. We have the T-28. We have a T-34. We have Cubs. We have George Merritt is normally flying in his plane. So anyone that would like to have a flyover for a memorial, they can contact the Goonie Birds at Estrella Warbirds and ask and offer for a donation. They will have their flights, memorial flights for them.
Really?
They fly over the wall every D-Day, every Veterans Day in Atascadero. On that same flight, they go out to the coast and honor those that lost their life at sea. So that's why I say that they know when Betsy and on the day for the wall that Betsy's going to go out and fly down the coast to honor all those that are out on the coast and can't get into the wall at Atascadero.
Well, if anybody has never seen Betsy in the air or any of these flyovers at the memorials, I mean, it's a mesmerizing experience, you know, to see these old birds in the air and just, I mean.
You hear them coming.
You definitely
All I
hear
can
them
say.
coming. Yeah, and you hear them for a long ways. It takes
Yes.
them a little bit to get there.
Yes.
But for a long ways, but it's just such a visual that
Yes.
you can't explain it, you
Yes.
know, that
Absolutely.
people see looking from the ground, you just see this old airplane, you know, still in function.
Right. Yeah. I would also like to ask for anyone that would like to volunteer that day. They would be helping us. We need folks to help us set up the silent auction on Friday evening, which would be November 1st. And that will be out at the Estrella Warbirds Museum, Hangar 1. We will be putting together the silent auction items and setting up tables and putting tablecloths on and getting chairs out. And we will have, Saturday morning we will also be setting up. But the other thing that we're doing on Saturday morning is anyone that purchased a ticket for this Wine Dine Pour Fest before October 1st, when we started our campaign for ticket sales, we chose 15 people out of, and we already have 100 people signed up. That was just, that's how many people wanted to ride on Betsy the morning of the Pour Fest.
So you're doing flight.
There is a flight,
Okay.
and it's going to be Scott Stelsley with the rest of the Betsy's crew, which there'll be 4 to 5 people, and they will be taking off around 11:15 at the Estrella Warbirds Museum in Betsy. So people have already been notified that they are on the flight.
So that's sold out.
That is sold out.
Okay.
You had to buy a ticket before October 1st.
Gotcha.
We will do that again next year. So in the future. But so that'll be, the flight will be from, people will show up about 10:45. They will get on the Betsy. They will do the 40-minute flight where they will do the same path that Sherman has always done with the veterans and any other groups. He goes south down towards San Luis. He cuts over, crosses, goes out on the ocean. He goes past up Morro Bay, up the coast, all the way up and turns back about Hearst Castle. So if you want an aerial view of Hearst Castle, it's pretty amazing. I've seen it many times. And then he heads back over. He'll go over the lakes, Nacimiento, San Antonio, and then he heads back and lands back at the airport. So that's when we do a flight in Betsy, that's what you will see, which is pretty amazing.
Very awesome. So, and we're talking about November 2nd, which is the Wine and Dine Pour Fest.
Yes.
Which is this the first? This is the first, right?
This is.
So this, and I'm expecting this is going to be annual because it's going to be such a great turnout and a great event for you guys. So so it's $100 a person, which we still have tickets available, correct?
Absolutely.
So do we have a max bear?
I don't think we really do have a max.
Okay.
Because that's a large area out there.
We'll just open up the air. You can sit outside.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, we have tables outside that have umbrellas. They're covered.
Okay.
Then we also have inside Hangar 1 is where a lot of our warbirds that fly, they sit, and we pull them all out for the event. And so we actually had over 600 people at Sherm's Memorial back in December 2022, but they were not at tables. But we can fit in there sitting at tables close to 250. So we'll have the silent auction inside. So there's multiple things you can do in the area. You can also go and walk around all of the static displays of the at the museum, which there's probably 20 different airplanes from Korea, Vietnam. We also have tanks. We have the Red Ball Express, which was Patton's, front on the Germans, all renovated in buildings. We have Dick Woodland's auto display, which if you have not been out to see Dick Woodland's cars, they are amazing. He's probably got over 60 cars in 3 rooms. He actually has soil from every racetrack he ever raced at in midgets, and then
Wow.
in jars. And if you want to go see what the soil at that racetrack looks like, you can go and see. And he's probably got 30 different jars of soil, and it tells you which racetrack that's from. And and Dick is amazing. Yeah, his restoration crew that has taken care of those cars and have them on display there is absolutely amazing. So those are the things you can do on November 2nd.
And then you have VIP tables still available?
Yes.
Yep.
So that's $1,000. And then, and great food, I'm imagining,
Yes.
and then of course, then you got, for the cause is Vino for Vets for Honor Flight Central Coast, correct?
Yep.
So, and then what about like volunteers? What are you guys needing to really kick this event off?
As far as volunteers, we need help setting up.
Okay.
And anyone that would like to volunteer, if they go to Pour Fest at honorflightccc.org, they can just say, I would like to volunteer. It would be Friday evening, sometime after 5, after the museum closes. We can set up Hangar 1, and then on Saturday morning, help us get set up around Betsy, just getting some chairs and our easy ups up and our waters out to them, so that when they arrive to get on Betsy, they have everything out on the tarmac next to Betsy. And then again, Saturday, a big rush. We need to get tables inside Hangar 1 set up, silent auction item tables set up, tablecloths on. Anybody that has any knowledge of running a silent auction can come in and help us to organize Friday night how we're going to put these items together. So
this is everybody's pretty raw.
yes.
So it's right.
This is the first year,
Yes.
and we know that there's going to be hiccups, and you work through those hiccups, and you make the event better and better every
Yes.
year.
Yeah.
And I think you can buy tickets on that Pour Fest website as well, or you can go to our website, honorflightccc.org, and click on Pour Fest to buy tickets. Also, if there's anyone out there that owns a restaurant or a caterer and you would like to participate and bring an item that is your specialty item as a caterer, and you'd like to donate that and come serve it, please give me a call. My phone number is 805-610-4012. Love to send you the information on how to sign up for that. And we'd love to have you participate because, we're a 501c3 organization. We're all volunteers. None of us get paid. And 100% of these proceeds go back to getting our veterans on their free trip to D.C. As we call it, it's their tour of honor to go see these memorials and get the things that they never got from when they came back. So,
because so does each flight go to all these different memorials and cemeteries that are listed here? Is it different based on who's on the flight?
Well, it all depends on our timing, actually, and how much time we have to get there. But normally that's what we go. I mean, I'll give you a quick rundown. Our first day of touring, we go to Arlington Cemetery and do the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown. And if we can, we'll do a wreath laying that day there. We go to Iwo Jima Memorial. That's a Marine memorial. Air Force Memorial. We go over across the river. We do the Korean, Lincoln, Vietnam Wall, and World War II Memorial. And then that's just the first day, and that's almost 7 miles of walking, getting on and off the buses and touring the memorials. Our third day before we come home, we go out to Annapolis Naval Academy, and we spend about 3 or 4 hours at Annapolis Naval Academy. Now that day, we're getting the veterans up at 5:30 in the morning to have breakfast, because we're on the bus at 6:30 to be at Annapolis Naval Academy before colors are raised, and they take us over to Bancroft Hall, where all the midshipmen live that go to the Naval Academy. And the Navy band comes out, and they're playing all the military hymns, and then at 8 o'clock, they play the colors, national anthem, and the colors are raised. And then afterwards, the band, they'll set their equipment down on the ground and come up and just talk with the veterans that are there. And then the commandant of the academy will come out and speak to everybody. And the funny thing is, you're at the Naval Academy, right? But you'd never think that you'd have a Marine in charge of the Naval Academy. And actually, the commandant, the last time I was there, the commandant is a Marine. And I know they rotate those guys every few years, so I'm not sure when we go back in May who the commandant will be. And then we go to Fort McHenry before we fly home.
Well, I want to really put more emphasis on the meaning of this. We've had a veteran on that actually recently went on the flight.
Yep.
And it was such a great story to hear, because it's not just going there and seeing this stuff. It's actually a combination of a reunion.
Yes.
Some may or may have never been back to the wall to see these names on there that they might have, their friends, they're part of their platoons, part of their, their people back there. And then, like I said, the reunion of different areas coming together that, some of them might see this person that they served with for the very first time in however many years.
Yeah, well, and I got another great story for you about that. So one of our trips, I have 2 Vietnam veterans, and they're standing in front of the Iwo Jima Memorial, and they're talking, and they're asking each other, when were you in country? Well, they come to find out they were in country at the same time. And they started talking about, well, what did you do? And one guy goes, well, I was a combat vet. What was your job? Well, I was a senior air controller. The combat veteran looks at the air controller and says, what was your handle? And he goes, Joyride. And the combat vet looks at his buddy he's with. He goes, this man saved our life. And they started talking. And the funny thing about this is they didn't know each other until they went on this honor flight together. And they came back, and they both became attorneys. Now, they live less than 5 miles apart in Napomo. But the funniest thing is, they both drive the same make, model, and color Cadillac. And if you really want to see the whole story, just go to KSBY, go to search, and type in veterans 50 years later, and you can listen to their story. And those two guys meet weekly now for lunch somewhere. But the air controller, he was never told anything good that he did until he met this veteran that was out there pinned down in a firefight and called for air support. And he's the one that sent the jets. And the combat veteran, he says, he's laying there and he sees these jets coming and sees these planes rolling, or these bombs rolling out of the jets. And he's saying, all I'm thinking is, man, I hope they make the tree line. And he said they did. Wow. And so it's stuff like that you get to know other veterans, and you meet veterans that you may have served with, but you didn't know. And it's amazing to hear the stories. And I've been doing it for 10 years. And I am always amazed when these veterans get together, and family members are amazed, because a lot of this stuff they've never, ever heard. But when you put all these veterans together, they start talking. And the history that you hear is just fantastic. And, that's why we need to keep flying these veterans back to D.C. And we actually, the Veterans Museum in San Luis will do interviews with these guys and put them on tape so we can send it to Library of Congress, because this is history that needs to be saved. So
is this so this isn't funded by any type of government grants or anything? This is all self-funded for these veterans?
This is all self-funded, and it's from the community. It's grants that we file for. It's fundraisers that are put together for us, and we're very thankful that Lori wanted to do this. And I would just encourage anyone that's out there, sign up. Help us keep flying our veterans, because they were willing to sacrifice their life for us. And $100 is cheap.
Right. And Bear, I also want to highlight too that every one of these veterans have a guardian that goes along with them on these flights. But guardians, they pay their own way.
Yes.
So, and somebody doesn't even have to have, a tie to anybody and just want to be a guardian.
Yeah,
and be a part of this.
Yeah, we have a lot of people sign up to go as community guardians. They'll go for a veteran that doesn't have a family member. We have a bunch of first responders, Paso PD, Sheriff's Department, the Paso Fire, Cal Fire. A lot of these guys have signed up to be a community guardian for our veterans. And a lot of these guys that have signed up from first responders areas are veterans themselves. Mm-hmm. And they want to give back and make sure these veterans have the time of their life on this trip and see everything that needs to be seen.
Well, it was funny when we had a veteran which was on, and he talked about his experience, which, he was like, this is like the best experience that he had. But they also had their nighttime kind of, time, sitting in the lounge and stuff like that. And, he was telling me that, they shut the bar down.
Yes, they did.
and it was
typical.
Exactly, and so it's like, these veterans, they don't get to mingle and talk with their of people that knows what it's really like. No, we'll never know what it's like, ever.
Right.
We can hear the stories all day long, but really, truly, these veterans that were in World War I, II, Vietnam, you'll never, ever know the exact until they talk with somebody of the like and that experience. And they just, like you said, an hour, 2 hours seems like 5 minutes of conversation.
Yeah. And there's another thing, people can go on our website, honorflightccc.org. You can click on news, click on veterans testimonies. We've got a lot of those on there. We got videos of the veterans talking at reunions about the trip. Go on and watch those. I mean, you'll be amazed at what they say. And if you know a veteran that hasn't signed up, get them signed up. They deserve to go.
And if you would like to make a donation, just go to the website for Honor Flight CCC, and you can make a donation of any amount right there.
Very cool.
Yes, you don't have to come to this event.
So, but are you guys still accepting donations and everything
We
for
are,
the November
yes.
2nd event?
Yes. So we have, I have my daughter-in-law, Shelley, which I think you know Shelley Zanoli. She has helped me immensely with her ability to put a program together and get the word out to anyone in a winery or a restaurant locally. And it's something that she's helped me with, and it has been an immense step forward. And right now we have contacted wineries, restaurants, and we hope if someone hears this today but has not been reached out to, please reach out to us. Please go to Pour Fest at honorflightccc.org and just say you want to be a part. And we're asking for wineries to come out and pour. If they bring a case max, it's only 3 hours. We have everything available for them, but they have to bring the wine and come and pour. And there also any restaurant that would like to offer up a couple of bites of trays. We will just go to Pour Fest Honor Flight Central Coast, ccc.org, and let us know, and we will contact you. This is all 301c3. I can never say that.
501c3.
501. Yes. Thanks, Bear.
Oh, I have trouble with it every now and then too.
I know, we both do. We look at each other and we laugh. So it's like, okay, we have to help.
We've been talking a lot about wine, but we are going to have some Cal Coast Brew is going to be.
Which he's a veteran. Which they're veterans over there.
Frank's a veteran. He's the beer maker there at Cal Coast. They're going to be providing a couple kegs for us, and so we will have beer. So if you're not a wine drinker, but you want to have some great food and have some Cal Coast beer, we're going to have it there for you as well. And we just love to have everybody come out and help support us, help keep flying our veterans back to D.C. It's free for the veterans. They wrote that check years and years ago, and this is a small part of us returning that favor to give them this free flight. And, we can't do it without the public. And so I just really encourage everybody to, really support our veterans.
And if you look on the screen right here, you can see the our flyer, and right on that flyer, you can scan that. It says scan the QR code, and if you scan that, that's going to take you right to where you can purchase your ticket.
Yep.
And it will give you more information. So we're trying to make it simple for the younger generation. We want to see more of them out there.
Right.
And we know how to get a hold of them. It's just put a QR code someplace, and they're going to check it out. And that's what we would love for them to do.
And for the younger generation, help out the older generation, because when that first started with the QR codes, I wasn't quite sure how to work that with my phone. So luckily I had a granddaughter that was able to say, "Oh, Grampy, just do this." I'm like, "Oh." So,
Right.
so help out the
Thank
older
goodness
guys.
for the younger generation, huh?
I tell you, yeah.
Well, like I said, November 2nd, Estrella Warbirds, Vino for Vets, Honor Flight Central Coast. I like I said, this is a great event. Obviously, we got the first of many annuals. Goes towards the Honor Flight Central Coast, which is obviously takes in our veterans, back to DC, back to the wall, back to the memory of their, like Bear says, their checks are cashed.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
this is such a great event.
Any donation, we will respond with a letter thanking you and for your donation, and making sure that you receive the fact that you have participated in with the event.
Very awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Bear, I appreciate you guys. Lori, I appreciate you guys coming on, and we're going to do whatever we can to help spread the word. And,
Well, Randy, I think you and What's Up North County, I mean, I've watched a lot of your stuff, and you guys do a fantastic job for the community and keeping everybody involved in what's going on in the North County, and that's awesome. You guys got a great program here.
Oh,
So thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Lori, thanks for taking us down that memory lane, because like I said, I mean, that's the legacy. That's it never dies.
Sherm's legacy.
Right, and
June
he's
6th.
got his name and hands written all over this. So.
Yes.
So for everybody, I'd like to say thank you for spearheading this and getting this going, because this is an event that's going to be lots of fun. November 2nd at Estrella Warbirds, and you get to go out there and check out all the displays out there. I mean, if nobody's ever been to Estrella Warbird, my goodness, you got to go. Serious. It is. It's. I've lived here my entire life, and I was out there for the very first time 10 years ago when they did a car show. My father-in-law was part of the Corvettes, and I'd never been there, and I was just amazed of all these airplanes and tanks and these
helicopters
that you can actually go
into. We have 2 Sikorsky's now too. You can see. I mean, so we've got the helos covered also.
Right. Yeah. And it's growing.
Yes.
And it's growing.
It's constantly growing.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, we're going to do what we can to get more people aware and hopefully get more tickets and more donations and more volunteers and make this event even more successful than it's already going to be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Well, there you have it, guys. Hey, make sure you guys get out there and support this event. Honor Flight Central Coast, you got the Wine Dine Pour Fest. This is the first one happening November 2nd out at Estrella Warbirds. $100 a ticket is nothing, goes towards a great cause to get these veterans back and get to re-experience and get to have that reunion back with their partners and people that they've served with. But as always, guys, we can't do this without you and our sponsors. We'd like to thank Escalar Wine, Wine Travelers Hideaway, Visit Atascadero, 805 Custom, Ron Mullins with Remax, North County Junk Removal, The Trailer Barn, Story Termite and Pest Control, Borhone Auto Center, Kennedy Club Fitness, Airflow Filter Services, Suprema Meat Market, and MGP Coatings. We'll see you on November 2nd.
Hi, this is Dave Story, small game hunter with Story Termite and Pest. We're a full-service termite and pest control company. From rodents to termites, we can take care of all your pest control needs. Call today, we can tailor a pest control program that will meet your needs and budget. Contact us at 805-460-0650 or at storytermite.com. Remember, we don't have customers, we have friends.
Hi, it's Alex with Suprema Meat Market. We are a Mexican meat market with a taqueria. Come enjoy our high-quality cuts and meats. We offer choice and prime Harris Ranch beef, as well as chicken, seafood, and pork items. In the taqueria, all of our tacos come with handmade tortillas. We also offer specialty items like chilaquiles and chile rellenos. Come enjoy Taco Tuesday with Suprema. We offer our tacos at $1.99 each. Suprema Meat Market is located at 8950 Montecito Avenue in Atascadero.
Are you tired of looking at that worn-out concrete garage floor, patio, or porch? Look no further than MGP Coatings, where customer service reigns supreme. Our team goes above and beyond to ensure your satisfaction every step of the way. Before we even start coating, we meticulously repair your concrete, ensuring a flawless finish that lasts. And here's the best part. Our Pentec coatings are 4 times stronger than epoxy, so they won't chip or peel, making maintenance a breeze. Plus, they come with a limited lifetime warranty. Call us today at 805-952-5301 or check out our Facebook and Instagram and experience the MGP coating difference. Don't wait. Transform your garage, patio, porch, or driveway and become a part of the MGP coating family.
What's up, North County? This is Teresa Branch with Airflow Filter Service. We are a family-owned business right here in the North County. We have air filters, oils and lubricants, and hydraulic hoses. We provide services that include air filter cleaning, DPF cleaning, and waste oil collection. Come check us out at 1140 Ramada Drive, and we can help you with all your automotive and industrial vehicle needs.
Hi, this is Omid
and Deanna
at North County Junk Removal. We are a business known for helping our neighbors and our community.
Let us help you save money and get rid of any unwanted items.
And rest assured that our professional team adheres to global standards of safety and recycling. We are fully licensed and insured for your peace of mind.
We are locally owned and operated, and we look forward to helping you with all your junk removal needs.
Please call us at 805-769-6966.
Atascadero isn't your standard getaway. We're unique, just like you. We're growing, transforming, and figuring it out as we go. We're a town filled with innovators, artists, makers, and game changers. We're a little bit country, a little bit funky, and always authentic. We're here for your good times, your slow times, and your changing times. We're all in Atascadero. Come see for yourself. Learn more at visitatascadero.com.
Hi, welcome to Kennedy Club Fitness, where we have something for everyone. We have weights, cardio, group exercise classes, racquetball, basketball, swimming, and pickleball coming soon. Here at Kennedy, we're committed to health, wellness, and community. Stop by any of our 4 locations: Paso Robles, Atascadero, San Luis Obispo, and Arroyo Grande, or check out our website at kennedyclubs.com.
Hi, my name is Ron Mullins with Remax Parkside in Paso Robles, California. I have proudly represented buyers and sellers in northern San Luis Obispo County since 1990. Give me a call to discuss how my experience can help you achieve your real estate goals. I can be reached at 805-235-2308. I look forward to the opportunity